I'd like for you to consider a word today, and the word is compassion. Again, the word is compassion. Webster's dictionary defines compassion as a feeling of wanting to help someone who is sick, hungry, or in trouble. Webster's dictionary goes on to give a fuller definition of the word compassion as a sympathetic consciousness of others' distress together with a desire to alleviate it. And that's an important point right there in the middle where it says together with a desire to alleviate it. And I'll come back to that point in a moment. But I'd also like to share with you two quotes from the world. One comes from the Bible where it says, "Therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourselves with compassion." And then there's another great quote in the world from the Dalai Lama that says, "Compassion is a necessity and not a luxury." And so, regardless of where you are in the world or how you've been raised, compassion is an important word. And the way that the dictionary defines compassion, I think, is extremely important because it touches on an important point inside of compassion, where it says that compassion is a sympathetic consciousness, or in other words, an awareness of other people's distress, their troubles, their anxieties, their fears. So having an awareness of other people's fears or anxieties or worries together with a desire from you to alleviate it. And I think that that is the big differentiating point between compassion acted out as a noun and compassion acted out as a verb. And so I'll explain that a little bit more for you here. Compassion as a noun merely means that you are aware of other people's distress. And that's a great ability to have. Whether you can recognize other people's fears, other people's anxieties, that there's hunger in the world, that there's pollution in the world, that there is financial distress in the world, that there are relational problems in the world. Everybody has problems, and most people can make themselves aware or become aware of other people's problems and have some form of compassion for it. And that's a great starting point. What I'd like to challenge you on is looking at compassion as a verb. And what I mean by that, with compassion as a verb, it means that you actually have to do something about it. It's like the definition says, it says together with a desire to alleviate it. And so it stirs up something inside of you that says, being aware of other people's problems isn't good enough for me. Now that I'm aware of other people's problems, I actually need to be a catalyst or a driver to create a condition to solve or alleviate those problems in other people. It compels you to move. It compels you to act. It compels you to do something. It compels you to move from knowing that something exists to actually doing something about it. You see, a lot of people would like to complain or justify or point fingers as to why a problem in the world exists. It takes a very astute person, and it takes someone with leadership to actually recognize the problem and then move towards action to be able to do something about it. And so through this process of looking at the word of compassion, I'd like for you to move towards and challenge yourself to move towards action, to move towards trying to alleviate it, to move towards a desire to want to alleviate it, not for your benefit, but for the benefit of somebody else. And I think that that's why the quotes that I read to you are so important, that if you could learn how to walk through the world with compassion and recognize that compassion is a necessity and it's not just a luxury that a few should have. And so I challenge you that. And before I leave, I'd like to offer you a couple of questions to consider around the word compassion. Number one, how has the word compassion shaped the way that you live in the world? How has the word compassion shaped the way that you live in the world? And number two, how has the word compassion shaped the way that you build and grow your personal relationships? How has the word compassion shaped the way that you build and grow your personal relationships? And then number three, how could you utilize your new awareness of compassion to unlock some hidden capacity that is still within you? How could you utilize your new awareness of the word compassion to unlock some hidden capacity that's still inside of you? So I hope that you recognize the importance of this word compassion. I hope that you recognize the importance of being aware versus being aware and then going and doing something about it. I hope that you make the shift towards this one, and when we do, the way that we live in the world will begin to change. Always remember to ride the wave of life, and always play big.